A retail giant is closing stores. Walmart plans to shut down 269 stores.
Trump told Walmart to, quote, eat the cost of rising tariffs so they can keep prices low for consumers.
World's biggest retailer by volume and profit, that would be Walmart, warned today that it may have to start raising prices later this month due to President Trump's tariff policy.
The shock hit like a quake. Walmart, America's retail colossus, has declared plans to withdraw significant operations from the U.S., citing the unbearable burden of rising tariffs. According to Reuters, the retailer's leadership concluded that it could no longer sustain margins under the current trade regime. Simultaneously, the White House escalated the tone. In a televised exchange, President Trump demanded that Walmart eat the tariffs rather than passing rising costs on to customers. That official clip is archived at Reuters Video.
Trump in a social media post Saturday said, quote, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected.
And underscored how deeply political these economic decisions have become. The announcement stirred immediate alarm. Investors recoiled, household shoppers braced, analysts warned of cascading disruption in food supply chains. For many Americans, what began as an economic dispute has turned into a crisis at the grocery aisle. If you're new here, please subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support means a lot. Retail giants like Walmart have long operated on finely balanced global supply systems. But what happens when trade policy begins to dismantle those foundations? Bloomberg recently reported that escalating U.S. tariffs have pushed many major retailers to reconsider sourcing and distribution plans under unprecedented stress. Meanwhile, Reuters tracked how over 360 firms globally have responded to Trump's tariff regime with constrained guidance, shifts in supply chains, and financial hits. Tariffs, once viewed as strategic levers of national negotiation, are now colliding with everyday commerce. Walmart, with its slim margins and vast scale, is uniquely vulnerable. As import costs balloon, the company has signaled that absorbing further burden is no longer feasible. Today, we explore how this standoff reached a breaking point, what it means for American consumers, and how the fallout is already reshaping North American trade dynamics. Walmart's withdrawal announcement came with unusually stark language. Unsustainable under current conditions. Overnight, distribution routes were reallocated, and internal memos revealed that contracts were being renegotiated or rerouted toward Canadian and Mexican hubs. Within hours, shoppers across multiple states posted images of emptied aisles and missing staples: rice, canned goods, fresh produce. In many communities, Walmart serves as the anchor discount retailer, making its pullback striking in its immediacy. Government officials quietly convened briefings. Treasury analysts warned that the move could erode consumer confidence just as inflation and supply pressures were already mounting. The stakes had shifted. This was no longer a dispute over trade. It was a structural threat to how America feeds itself. The trade pressures that pushed Walmart to the brink were years in the making. Trump's tariff strategy, initially focused on China, began expanding into Canada, Mexico, and Europe, touching goods from lumber and dairy to electronics and apparel. Walmart, deeply enmeshed in global sourcing, felt the squeeze early. Its leadership warned repeatedly that tariffs function as invisible taxes on consumers. The company made efforts to diversify suppliers, absorb cost increases, and lobby for exemptions. But as tariffs grew, some reaching 25 to 35% or greater, retail margins narrowed dangerously. By 2025, further tariff threats loomed. Some proposals suggested rates as high as 200% on specific imports. In that climate, Walmart concluded that perseverance might lead to collapse rather than survival. Walmart's strategic pullback is now unfolding in phases. U.S. distribution centers are being downsized or shuttered. Shipments once routed via U.S. ports are being diverted to Canada and Mexico. Suppliers dependent on Walmart's scale are being asked to renegotiate or find new clients. Analysts estimate that as much as 20% of U.S. grocery supply lines flow through Walmart's network. Its exit threatens particularly rural and low-income areas, where Walmart is often the sole affordable retailer. Competitors like Target and regional grocers are scrambling but lack the logistical scale to replace it instantly. Some price hikes, especially in dairy and produce, are already manifesting. Families are bracing for rising costs just as inflation pressures bite. Politically, the move has ignited fresh confrontation. At a press event, Trump maintained, "We don't allow mega retailers to dictate our trade policy." If Walmart walks, so be it, but many see the crisis as evidence that national policy is now struggling to contain its own consequences. The fallout is multifaceted and swift. On Wall Street, Walmart's stock slid, but consumer sentiment indicators dropped further. Worry mounted that inflation could intensify as supply constriction meets policy rigidity. Communities reliant on Walmart for jobs and affordable goods are feeling immediate pressure. Reports of layoffs surfaced in states like Arkansas and Ohio. Labor groups have criticized the government for courting disruption under the banner of trade sovereignty. Internationally, the implications are serious. Financial Times commentary suggests Walmart's turmoil may prompt other global firms to rethink their U.S. exposure. If Walmart, the ultimate retail juggernaut, can't thrive under America's tariff regime, smaller players may be forced out entirely. In Congress, voices call for immediate relief. Some propose emergency tariff waivers on essential food imports. Others double down on the policy, arguing short-term pain will reset domestic manufacturing. Meanwhile, households have little recourse beyond paying the price. Hidden beneath the storm is a bold strategic shift. Walmart Canada is doubling down. As reported by Reuters, the company is investing approximately $6.5 billion Canadian dollars to expand stores and modernize supply infrastructure, its largest push in decades. New supercenters are planned in Ontario and Alberta by 2027, and distribution centers are being upgraded to absorb greater volume. At the same time, Walmart is divesting its Canadian fleet business to local logistics providers, streamlining operations while maintaining control over service continuity. In Ottawa, officials welcomed the pivot. In contrast to the U.S. dispute climate, Canada projects itself as a stable trade zone. One senior official referred to Canada as a safe harbor for retail investment, a subtle jab at its southern neighbors' instability. The irony is stark. A policy designed to protect American commerce is boosting Canada's retail infrastructure. Walmart isn't shrinking, it's shifting, and the realignment may echo far beyond North America's borders. Beyond Canada, other nations stand poised to capture Walmart's redirected traffic. Mexico, with its proximity and existing trade frameworks, appears ready to absorb spillover contracts. European suppliers are exploring options, anticipating that Walmart will tilt sourcing toward more predictable partners. In Canada, the timing aligns with domestic policy. While welcoming retail expansion, the government has fortified agricultural protections through supply management laws. Walmart's arrival complements those protections. It bolsters access without undermining local producers. The strategical balance is subtle. Canada offers a dual model of open retail expansion and protected local industry. Meanwhile, the U.S. policy model is increasingly perceived as unpredictable and exclusionary. Analysts warn that unless trade policy is recalibrated, the U.S. may face an extended period of food inflation. Some project continued price pressures well into 2026, especially on staples like dairy, meat, and imported goods. Lawmakers propose various remedies, emergency exemptions on essential food imports, targeted subsidies for low-income households, or temporary tariff relief. Yet political will remains divided. Walmart's pivot toward Canada and other markets signals a deeper migration of commercial gravity. Where once the U.S. was the anchor of supply chains, instability now pushes capital and logistics outward. This moment forces an existential question. Can the U.S. enforce trade sovereignty without eroding the very foundations of domestic commerce? The next moves, in Congress, executive agencies, and corporate leadership, will determine whether this crisis becomes a turning point or a rupture from which recovery is difficult.